Hey everybody, welcome back to Sports Outside the Box, where we are never just satisfied with the popular opinions. I'm your host, Dennis Harris. How is everybody doing out there today? Man, I'm telling you, the weekend, it came and it went. And then Monday, it came and it went. And now we're on to Tuesday already. We got Tuesday night football. That sounds weird. But of course, we had Monday night, Sunday night football. But even though we got to enjoy football on Sunday, even Saturday college football had great games on, especially for men's and women's basketball. Even though we're supposed to be we're relaxing or watching our entertainment or watching our sports, watching whatever we're watching while we're relaxing. I hope you guys had time during the weekend or during whatever time you have, whatever days your weekends begin. Some people's weekends begin on Monday, but whatever day your weekend begins, I hope that you are giving time to your craft. I hope you're giving time to what you said what your goals are, what you're set out to do, what your ambitions are. I hope that you're sitting there saying, okay, well, I want to spend more time with my family. I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to spend more time with my friends. Like, you have goals to do these things. I hope you guys are accomplishing these things. Like, even if you say, I'm trying to be a better, I don't know, if you're at a church, I'm trying to be a better minister at my church. I'm trying to be a better firefighter. I'm trying to be a better police officer. I'm trying to be a better doctor. I don't know. Whatever you're doing, even if you're outside in the field if you're a weed whacker, be the best weed whacker you can be. Make sure that you are honing in on your craft. Whatever makes you happy, you need to do exactly that. When you have time on the weekends to do that, you need to do that. I've been reading a book by Brene Brown. It's called Daring Greatly. I believe she said in the book there was a speech that Theodore Roosevelt gave, and he talked about daring greatly in the book. She talks about his speech, daring. He says you need to dare greatly. You need to step into the arena. And I hope that we are all striving to do that. I hope we're striving to step into the arena, because if we're not, that just means we're just letting life go by. We always have opportunities to step into the arena. Let me tell you about my journey today, how I almost did not step into the arena. And I promise you, it just seemed like life was making me, because I'm doing a YouTube video right now for all my for my podcast listeners. I'm doing a video on YouTube for YouTube right now. But let me tell you exactly how my Monday went. It's 2:10 in the morning right now, by the way. Let me tell you exactly how my whole day went. I got up, I'm writing content for the podcast, and I tell myself around 2 o'clock, you know what? I have the tripod, I have everything that I need to make a YouTube video. Why not I dare greatly, and why not I make this YouTube video? So I attempted it, and 25 minutes in, all of a sudden I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I don't like it. I'm not feeling it whatsoever. I don't even want to continue on with what I'm doing right now. I legit stopped it and went on about my day. I played a game of Madden. I played one game of Apex, and then I was like, okay, well, it's almost 5 o'clock. I guess I'll go ahead and watch the Washington football team and Steelers play. But after that game, I sat there and thought to myself, okay, well, I'll probably try to knock out a pod. Oh, sorry. I actually attempted another podcast after shutting down that whole video. I attempted a podcast. The podcast did not record. And I put it in iMovie, and I tried to put it in a different app. It did not record whatsoever. It recorded half of it, and the other half was gone. And I was like, oh, isn't that just my luck? I couldn't get it recorded. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my computer. And I wait till after the Washington game goes off. Then I wait till after the 49ers and Bills play. And I said, okay, I'm going to try it again. 47 minutes I went on. 47 minutes. And again, this time it's skipping. I'm trying to figure out, okay, it got to be my computer. I'm putting too much time. It was like 25 minutes earlier. It was like 35 minutes, and then a 45 minutes. I was really into the last one I was doing. I was like 45 minutes. I was just going in on it. And then I'm like, okay, so now it's skipping. Now all I had to do was restart my computer and everything would have been fine. But this is the legit fourth time. The fourth time that I'm sitting here trying to do this podcast, and I'm happy. I'm happy that I decided, because I'm telling you that if I would have got it the time 2 and time 3, this video right now would not have been made. I was literally sitting here talking about how I was trying to dare greatly, how I was going to do tomorrow what I could have done today. I was sitting here literally saying, oh man, see, I fail too. And guess what? I fail all the time. And on this podcast, I always talk about how we gotta fail, because if you don't fail, you don't deserve to succeed. If you just sit there, always succeed, guess what? When it's time to fail, you don't know how to handle failure. So you have to fail at some point, at some opportunity. You're going to fail. It just has to happen, because you need to understand how to deal with failure. Even like if you're dealing with a stock market, you're just like, hey, I'm going to go right into stocks. I'm going to just try it. Okay, everybody does that. A lot of people do that. Some people just go right into the stock market, start buying stocks. Guess what? You fail. You're sitting there like, okay, well, I only gained $18 over the last 6 months. What am I doing wrong? You're failing. Even though you gained $18, that $18 you didn't have, but you're failing because you thought you were going to have more. You thought you were being smarter because you're just investing. But when you start getting things, you start sitting there telling yourself, okay, I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to do this. You're being smarter with your time. You're being smarter with your money. Guess what? You're leading a path to success, but we all fail. When you begin anything, you fail. You have to step into the arena to dare greatly. If you're not going to dare greatly, then what's the point? What is the point if you're not even going to try to dare greatly? At some point, you got to. And like Steve Harvey said, at some point in your life, please just jump once. He said, you don't have to be today. It doesn't have to be tomorrow, but please just one time jump. And this book that I'm reading by Brene Brown right now called Daring Greatly, it's exactly pretty much what I'm taking from her, what she's talking about Theodore Roosevelt's speech, saying that we just have to step into the arena. You're gonna fail, but dare greatly. You might as well fail while daring greatly. Why fail at any other time? Fail while you're not daring greatly? That doesn't sound like any fun. Something that she said in the book so far, I'm only on page 70 of this book. It's a great book, by the way. I had just finished the book, The Alchemist. If you haven't read that book, I think his name is Paulo Coelho. It's Coelho, I believe. But that book was absolutely phenomenal. Daring Greatly. Brene Brown said in Daring Greatly that what's worth doing even if I fail. So even if you fail, it's like what's worth doing. And then something else she talks about in the book is vulnerability, how we cannot pretty much get to our next path in life if we're not going to be vulnerable. And then a lot of us sit there and criticize TV stars. We criticize rappers, people in the comedians, anybody, because we sit there and be like, look, they're vulnerable. They do this or they do that, and they're showing their life on TV, and they're able to handle that vulnerability. But vulnerability is growth. Like, people want to look at vulnerability as weakness. Like the fact that you're being vulnerable right now is the fact that it's like you're opening yourself up to criticism. And when you're vulnerable, yeah, criticism can come, but guess what? You're being 100% authentic with yourself. You can't ask for anything better than that. That means you're being 100% you, just being vulnerable. And in the book, she asks people questions like, what does vulnerability feel like? Or what is vulnerability to you? And the guy says vulnerability is your wife who just had her third miscarriage, and you're trying to figure out a way to console her yet again. And people are just going down the list of things that are vulnerability. And I was like, oh my goodness. And trust me, I know, and this is vulnerable for me right now. This is a sports podcast. This is sports outside the box. But I love talking to you guys about these type of topics, about the books that I'm reading, about daring greatly, stepping into the arena, doing things that we can fail at. Like, what did you fail at today? I love talking to you guys about these things. I love the feedback I get on Instagram, on Twitter. You guys come to me and say, oh, this is what I failed at today. And we have these conversations. I love that. And if you love the content also, if you go on Apple and you see, like, give me a rating on Apple. Like, tell me what you enjoy the most about my show. Is it the sports? Is it the beginning where we talk about these topics like this? Like, let me know. It makes a huge difference because we can get more people to see this type of content and get into, of course, the SOB Sports Outside the Box family. But I hope you guys are daring greatly. I hope you guys are stepping into the arena. If you haven't yet, let today be the day you do it. Don't wait till tomorrow. What's the point of waiting till tomorrow? What you can do today? What's the point? Like I could have legitimately not been recording this video right now that I'm recording. I could have let time 2 and time 3. If they wouldn't have messed up, guess what? I wouldn't have recorded this video. This video would not have gotten done till tomorrow or the next day. I promise you. But because life happens and things always happen and things happen for a reason. There must have been a reason why I was supposed to record this video, but this is the 4th time today that I'm doing this, and I'm happy that I decided that I'm daring greatly now. I don't have to wait till tomorrow. But trust and believe, guys, I was failing all today. All today I was failing. And I just decided to myself that I decided to dare greatly at this moment. So let's make sure we're daring greatly. And now let's roll into week 13 of the NFL. Week 13, man. If you had fantasy football teams, I hope you made the playoffs. I hope you had some way, somehow. If you had to beat this team and beat that team and this team had to lose, I hope you got in, because guess what? I got in. I got in on my 2 dynasty leagues. Well, one's not for certain yet. All depends on what Patrick Queen does tomorrow. But I got it on 2 of my fantasy leagues. And one is like up in the balance right now. I have to wait on Schultz and Ezekiel Elliott tomorrow to see what they do or if I'm going to get it or get it out. I personally don't have those 2 players. I'm waiting to see if they score like 11 points. But I'm praying. I'm praying that Baltimore just completely shuts down Dallas. That's all I can do. But I hope your fantasy teams are doing right. My fantasy team's looking okay. As long as you make it one playoff and you're getting some money out of it, hey, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. But week 13, man, we are rolling right along because week 14 is next week. But week 13, of course, let's start off. Of course, man, what are we going to start with? You know what? We might as well. I didn't start this any other time, but this time we'll start with my Falcons. Falcons, Saints. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say at this point. The reason why I don't know what to say is because I felt like Raheem Morris, if he would have won this game, Raheem Morris was putting himself in a prime position in order to get the coaching job for next season. But guess what? He didn't do it. So the fact that he didn't do it, I'm literally sitting here thinking now there has to be another coach coming next year because we just lost to Taysom Hill 2 times in a row. And guys, if you're looking at this video, you're seeing me going through all these papers. I'm trying to find where I put my podcast papers at, but I remember what I was saying because, 4th time I'm doing this. But I thought Raheem Morris was going to be the coach of the future. I'm really liking Jeff Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator right now. But the only problem is Raheem Morris, we just lost this game. It's the 2nd time we lost to Taysom Hill. Do I give Taysom Hill credit for winning the game? Sure. That's 2 wins. I know they got 3 wins, but I can't really give them too much credit because the Denver Broncos had no quarterback. So I can't really give them too much credit out here because giving them too much credit, that's going to hype up Taysom Hill. And it's like, I don't know. The Falcons, that game was just too much for me. I saw Calvin Ridley drop a touchdown pass. I saw Russell Gage drop a pass. I saw Julio Jones drop the catch of the year, even though it was a one-hand catch and the touchdown. He dropped that. I couldn't blame him for dropping that because I wouldn't even attempted it. I promise you, I wouldn't even attempted it. But the Falcons lose again. Now we have dropped to 4-8. Saints are 10-2. They're trying to take hold of the NFC. Next game, Lions, Bears. You got to clap it up for the Lions. And you got to clap it up for the Lions because of, what's his name? Darrell Bevell, the interim head coach right now for the Detroit Lions. Matt Stafford has not played a better game all season. Throwing over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. The man was absolutely on fire. I couldn't believe what Detroit was doing in the win. Matt Stafford, 27 of 42, 402, 3 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. Lions' best offensive output by far. The 4 remaining games for the Detroit Lions. And I personally, this could be an overreaction, but I personally believe that Darrell Bevell should be the coach for the remainder of the season after what I just saw. Well, not the coach for the remainder of the season, a coach going into next year. Kind of like what happened with Freddie Kitchens, but that's a terrible example. But I think that Darrell Bevell should be... He's been there in Detroit for 2 years now as the offensive coordinator. Now he's the head coach. I think that he could be the head coach permanently. But the remaining 4 games, they got the Packers, they got the Titans, they got the Bucks, they got the Vikings. I promise you, if he wins all 4, he's the head coach. If he goes 3-1, they're gonna highly consider him to be the head coach. 2-2, he'll get consideration. It won't be that serious. 1-3 or anything less than that, he's not going to be the head coach next year. So I'm hoping that Darrell Bevell, I like what I saw from, they came back and won this game against the Chicago Bears. Mitchell Trubisky had a good game. Allen Robinson was balling. David Montgomery, I believe, went over 100 yards rushing. But It just was no cigar, as my old music teacher used to say. No cigar. They couldn't get the win. Detroit surprisingly gets the win against the Chicago Bears. The Giants are the Giants better than their record? Are the Giants better than their record? Of course they are. After seeing that performance, of course they are. What they win the game, 17-12. I couldn't believe what I saw out of the New York Giants, and especially with the fact that we saw Colt McCoy coming in. And I said, Colt McCoy went up to CenturyLink Field and beat the Seattle Seahawks on who? On who did he do that? Because I was absolutely stunned. It was a head scratcher. I said, Colt McCoy just went up there, and then Wayne Gallman. Can we just clap it up for my man Wayne Gallman one time? Because Wayne Gallman has been playing his best football of his career. He just rushed for over 100 yards against the Seattle Seahawks defense, who's definitely improved since acquiring Carlos Dunlap, especially on that front. 16 carries, 135 yards. You got to clap it up for him. And then you see how well the defense was playing for the New York Giants. Even watching James Bradberry about to get stiff-armed by DK Metcalf. DK had the hand right on the face. James Bradberry somehow, some way still takes down big old DK Metcalf. So that was a great game. Giants scored 14 points in the third quarter, only allowing the Seahawks 5 points. The Seahawks didn't score over 7 points in either half. Then they lose the game 17-12. Giants and Washington. Of course, Washington wins the Monday night game, but Giants and Washington now put in a position where, of course, one or the other can win the division, but they have put themselves in a position where they don't need to win the division to get into the playoffs. If they win out, they both can potentially make the playoffs. So we're going to see what happens here. Next game, Browns 41, Titans. What happened? Browns, I was just shocked because I'm like, we've talked about this. When 3 games without Odell Beckham, they were averaging 8 points. 8 points. It was all horrific. All of a sudden, Kevin Stefanski, Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Jarvis Landry, as of late, 2 back-to-back games over 100 yards receiving. I don't know what's going on with the Browns, but the Browns are figuring out ways to win. And then you go back and look at the Browns and what they did in the first half. What was it, 38-10? 38-7. I'm sorry, it was 38-7. The Browns defense, I don't know what happened to them in the second half, but you know when teams, they say let off the gas pedal, like my Falcons do all the time? Yeah, 28-3. They were outscored 28-3 by the Titans in the second half, but the Cleveland Browns holding Derrick Henry under 70 yards from the line of scrimmage. That's an automatic. You got to clap that up because not many people are able to do such things. Browns moved to 9-3. Titans moved down to 8-4, making room for the Indianapolis Colts, who just won. And the Colts are now tied on top of the division with the Tennessee Titans. So that's very interesting. Patriots 45-0 over the Chargers. Anthony Lynn will not be fired because the Chargers said that they have too much respect for Anthony Lynn, and they will assess everything at the end of the season. I agree, even though I think that this 45-0 loss automatically gets him fired. That's what I believe. And a lot of Chargers fans want to see Anthony Lynn go, but that's okay because I have a plan for Anthony Lynn where I want him to go, because there's going to be a little segment where I'm going to dive in deep to a certain team that I believe has a very good chance to be good next year or in 2 years. Next, we have the Raiders, who luckily went off the bomb to Henry Ruggs off the Hail Mary. There's a cornerback in the NFL named Lamar Jackson, not quarterback, cornerback. Lamar Jackson for the New York Jets. I cannot believe he bit on that stutter step. Like, what did you think he was running, an out route? Like, I don't know. Like, I was completely confused because I was like, they have to throw a touchdown, so why did you bite on the stutter step? Like that, your defensive IQ, goodness gracious. Like, I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day about IQ in the NBA. We were talking about, like, would you rather have athleticism or would you rather have defensive IQ? I'm like, you have to take the defensive IQ all day because athleticism fades while your defensive IQ will always increase, or stay the same or always increase. It's not going to go down. So I'm like, once you know something, you know it. So I'm like, dude, his defensive IQ on this play was absolutely horrific because it was a stutter step. You know how much time's on the clock. You know they got to get down the field, score this touchdown. You know where the timeouts are at. Come on now. I was like, Lamar, you got to do better than that. Remember, cornerback, not the quarterback for the Ravens. I'm about the cornerback, Lamar Jackson, for the New York Jets. But yeah, Henry Ruggs catches the game-winning touchdown. I can't believe it. The team that I believe can be really good in the next couple of years, if they can, I think probably follow the plan of like Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins. I'm thinking the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I know a lot of you probably agree with me. We just saw how they played what was the 2016-2017 AFC title game. I think that they're on the right path to get back to the promised land. Why do I say that? I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, they did lose to the Minnesota Vikings, right? They did lose that game. But Colin Johnson starting to turn on. I like Colin Johnson. He's the wide receiver, rookie wide receiver out of Texas. They got Keelan Cole, wide receiver. Laviska Shenault, another rookie wide receiver. He's good. DJ Shark. We all know DJ Shark in fantasy. Chris Conlon, D.D. Westbrook. They have receivers. They have a little abundance of receivers right there. Like a little average or a little above average receivers. I like that. Running back James Robinson. Quarterback in the draft. They gotta go Justin Fields. And then if you get Justin Fields, it's like, who do you get as the head coach? Because Doug Marrone, in my opinion, cannot be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars next year. I don't care what Khan says, the owner, who's the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, they need a different head coach. And who do I think should be a head coach? I think it should be Robert Saleh. What do you guys think? That sounds like a good plan. The Jacksonville defense right now is 31st in the NFL for yards per game, allowing yards per game, 415.6. That's way too much. The run, the pass, they're almost dead last in both. So what they need is a defensive-minded coach to come in there and help them out a little bit. So that's what I believe. Offense, you have an offensive coordinator right now in Jay Gruden who's doing pretty well with what he's given, especially if you want to talk about what he's doing with James Robinson right now, making James Robinson look absolutely phenomenal. So do you keep Jay Gruden as the offensive coordinator? I say either Jay Gruden or I go get Anthony Lynn, who's potentially going to be fired. In my opinion, he will be fired. So I go get Anthony Lynn and I get my man Robert Saleh. But why else do I want Robert Saleh? Because he's been in Jacksonville before, between 2014 and 2016. Before he was the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, he was the linebacker coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I say, come on home. Let's do you right. Let's make sure that you get the head coaching position. You've been here before. You know the culture around Jacksonville. Jacksonville loves you. The only reason why you left because you went to go get the defensive coordinator position, a higher position. That's the only reason why you left. So I say let's bring in Robert Saleh, bring him back. You get your defense right. You know, who else do you want to bring in? Do you want to bring in like a guy like Jim Schwartz, try to poach him away from the Philadelphia Eagles to put him on like defensive player personnel? I would love that move. Robert Saleh, Jim Schwartz, you have Jay Gruden, or if you want to say Anthony Lynn. Do you try to go get Dan Quinn or Jeff Ulbrich, the guys from the Falcons? Do you try to get one of them to try to up this defense a little bit? You can, I'm so excited, just putting all this on paper. And let's not forget 2020 draft? Yeah, the 2020 draft. They just drafted CJ Henderson and Clevon Chase Young. So I'm like, 2021, you have 2 first-round picks. You have 2 second-round picks. I think you have 1 third-round pick, 2 fourth-round picks. You got some picks in this draft. And I'm like, Justin Fields, number 1. Get him first. Get an offensive lineman next. Third, I would probably get another offensive lineman. Then I'd probably get another defender. That's what I would probably do. 1 defender, 2 offensive linemen, and your quarterback. Kind of like what they did with Tua, right? The Miami Dolphins got Tua. They got 2 offensive linemen, and they drafted some defensive players. I would definitely get 2 offensive linemen in this draft. I would get Justin Fields, no doubt. We love Gardner Minshew, but Gardner Minshew's not the answer. We all know Gardner Minshew's not the answer. Unfortunately, we wish he was, but I don't see Jacksonville passing on Justin Fields, and I think that'd be the match made in heaven. Justin Fields, Robert Saleh, you got Jay Gruden, and Jay Gruden knew what to do. He didn't really care for RG3 that much, so maybe he's not the guy. But Tyrod Taylor, Anthony Lynn knew how to use Tyrod Taylor, so maybe Anthony Lynn will know how to use my man Justin Fields. I don't know. That's just my theory. Y'all let me know what you think. Also, we saw that Jalen Hurts got in over Wentz, and Jalen Hurts, he played great. For the time that he was in there, he played good. I like what I saw from Jalen Hurts. Did y'all like it? Because I liked it. And I think Carson Wentz might be done in Philly. That's what I think. He just might be done in Philly. Why? Because he's not playing that great. Jalen Hurts literally came in, sparked the offense, went down and scored. Then all of a sudden, punt return. The team was like a boost of energy from the whole team. I didn't know what was going on. I said, Philly all of a sudden is making this a game. But then, of course, Aaron Jones killed it at the end with that big run for a touchdown. But Philly definitely was coming back in this game out of nowhere just from the simple fact of adding Jalen Hurts and sitting down Carson Wentz. I personally think that Jalen Hurts definitely needs to be the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles going into Week 14. You might as well. I don't know what else you're supposed to be losing here, because if you're losing the NFC East, I mean, you get top 10 draft pick. I don't know. You might as well see what you got in Jalen Hurts. That's what I think. Bengals. Dolphins win 19-7. Tua 26-39, 296 yards, 1 touchdown. Myles Gaskin comes off of IR, 141 yards from scrimmage, 1 touchdown. Dolphins now 8-4. If you look at the last 3 appearances for the Miami Dolphins, for the playoffs, 2001 against the Baltimore Ravens, they lost in the wild card. 2008 against the Baltimore Ravens, they lost in the wild card. 2016 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, they lost in the wild card. So what does this tell you listening to this? I don't want to play anybody who's coming out of the AFC North first in the wild card. That's all I have to say. I wouldn't want to play nobody first in the wild card coming out of the AFC North. And potentially it can be real close to them seeing Cleveland. And I think that's the closest one right now, because the Ravens aren't even in the playoffs right now, which is shockingly enough, but they're not even in the playoffs. Another team that's not in the playoffs that we got to talk about a little bit, the Arizona Cardinals. 1-4 now in their last 1-4 in the last 5 games. They're 6-6. They lose to the Rams 38-28. The Rams 470 yards of offense. They're 8-4 now. They hold the Cardinals under 300 yards of offense. The number 2 offense in the NFL. They hold them under 300 yards. The last 3 games, the Arizona Cardinals defense has been allowing 28.7 points a game. But if you go back to October 18th when they played the Dallas Cowboys, and Dallas Cowboys only scored 10 points, and they beat the Dallas Cowboys 38-10. They've been allowing 30.6 points a game since that time. Good teams and good defenses are exposing the Arizona Cardinals right now. They beat the Jets. The Jets only scored 10 points. Not good. The Cowboys that just lost Dak. Okay, the Cowboys scored 10 points. Washington didn't have Alex Smith yet. Okay, Washington scored 15 points. That was 3 of their 6 wins. 3 of their 6 wins. Let's not forget about the Hail Murray they did. If they would have did that, if they didn't get that win, they would have lost their last 5 games. And Buffalo will be on a 6-game winning streak if that didn't happen. I think our expectations were just way too high for the Arizona Cardinals. We were looking at this like this is their year. Kyler Murray, we had him in MVP talks. They were 5-2 at one point, but the 5-2, 5 of those wins 3 of those 5 wins came from bad teams. They beat the Seattle Seahawks. They beat the 49ers. But I'm like 3 of those, but of course the Seattle Seahawks have already come back and beat them. But 3 of those 5 wins when they were 5-2 came from Washington, came from the Cowboys who just lost Dak, and came from the New York Jets. Absolutely horrific. So the only other 2 wins were the Seattle Seahawks and the 49ers. And the last one of the season they got so far was the Buffalo Bills when they got them on the Hail Murray. And I don't know how I still don't know how DeAndre Hopkins caught that. But if you want to look at it, like Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals, who used to be a former head coach for the Denver Broncos, he needs to do a lot better job because this defense is definitely looking pretty bad. The next 4 games, or the last 4 games of the season for the Arizona Cardinals: New York Giants, who just beat Seattle; Philadelphia Eagles, who by that time in 2 weeks will be starting Jalen Hurts for sure. I'm more than positive about it. The 49ers, whose defense didn't look too sharp tonight, but it's not typical night where you see people throw like they did on Robert Saleh's defense. And then the Rams, who are absolutely rolling right now. My question is there going to be a team in the NFC to get 8-8 and make the playoffs? The reason why I say that, I don't see the Cardinals going 9-7 here. The Cardinals are currently 6-6. They got, like I told you, the Giants, Philly, 49ers, Rams. I think they lose to the 49ers and the Rams, honestly. And Philly and the Giants could be the 2 games that they win. But who knows with the Giants playing, their defense playing like this? Who knows? I don't know. So I think 8-8 is like very realistic right now for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm really questioning if 8-8 makes the playoffs, and I don't think if they don't make the playoffs and they start off 5-2, that's absolutely terrible, and that's like terrible to the psyche of the team in my opinion. A team that we kind of slightly talked about, but not really. We talked about the Jacksonville Jaguars losing to the Minnesota Vikings in overtime 27-24, but we got to talk about the Minnesota Vikings ever so slightly here. Justin Jefferson, this man is in rare company. This man is in rare form right now as a rookie. 9 receptions, 121 yards, 1 touchdown. His 5th game over 100 yards this season. Justin Jefferson is the man right now. He's over 1,000 yards. His catch percentage, 72.6. The Eagles fans need to be shouting at the top of their lungs. Of course, a lot of them don't want Doug Peterson. A lot of them don't want Carson Wentz. But you need to be saying fire Howie Roseman. Why? Because you drafted somebody over Justin Jefferson. Who did you draft? Jalen Reagor. No, Justin Jefferson was supposed to be Alshon Jeffrey's replacement, and they decided, no, we're going to go with speed. We're going to find Deshaun Jackson's replacement. Should have found Alshon Jeffrey's replacement. Should have went for Justin Jefferson. Now that man's doing the gritty up there. He's doing the gritty up there in Minnesota. But the next, I'm telling you, Odell Beckham, hold on, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But I really wonder if Justin Jefferson will catch Randy Moss on Randy Moss's rookie record, who had 17 touchdowns. He won't catch that, but he did have 1,313 yards in Minnesota for his rookie year. Justin Jefferson has 4 games to get past that, and I think he can do it. But if we're talking about the most receiving yards ever as a rookie, we got to go back to 1960 in the AFL. Bill Groman. I didn't know who this man was. I was like, Bill Groman, so I had to do some history on him. In 2 years with the Houston Oilers in 1960, before the NFL-AFL merger, this man had 29 touchdowns in 2 years. 29 touchdowns in 2 years. No receiver's ever done that since then. They said Bill Groman was Odell Beckham before Odell Beckham. That's what they called him. Odell Beckham before Odell Beckham. He said Bill Groman saw the catches Odell's made, and he said he can do them even better. And I'm like, he still lives in Houston, like where he played for the Houston Oilers. He still lives down there in Houston. And I'm just like, goodness, he was a track star. They said his hands were like 9-10 inches. I'm like, goodness gracious. So I'm like, he's pretty much wearing like DeAndre Hopkins gloves out here while being a track star. I was like, goodness, he sounded like he was amazing, but he only played for 6 years. Why is that? Because back then, they didn't have the technology we had today. Of course, we all know what happened to Walter Payton. And we saw I don't know if you guys saw A Football Life about Walter Payton when he had his knee injuries, and they didn't have the technology and the doctors that we have today to fix everything. So pretty much Bill Groman was playing for years on 2 torn ligaments in his knee, and it ended his career short. But I'm like, just imagine what he could have done today. I'm like, goodness gracious. So Justin Jefferson, you are in rare company right now, and Bill Groman holds the rookie record for most receiving yards at 1,473. Justin Jefferson, 4 games, it's doable. It's doable. Justin Jefferson could potentially be doing the gritty to the record books. We got to see. But the Vikings started the season off 1-5. They're currently 6-6. They are the 7th seed right now in the NFC. The last 4 games, though, super tough. They got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They got the Bears. They got the Saints. They got the Lions. And I said super tough. Some of y'all probably sitting there like, the Lions, that's not super tough. But I promise you, with Darrell Bevell, now the head coach of the Detroit Lions, I promise you, it's no exaggeration here. He is going to make this happen. We saw Matt Stafford. We were talking about Matt Stafford, how well he played, and I think that could be a real tough game. And that game's in Detroit. So they're at Tampa, at home against the Bears. They're in New Orleans, in Detroit. That's gonna be real tough. Colts, Texans. Colts win the game 26-20. Deshaun Watson completely gives over a gift over to the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know what he was doing. You started at the 20, I think I wrote it down. They started at the 28-yard line. They're 28. They drop all the way down to the 2-yard line, less than 2 minutes, and he fumbles the ball. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Then Romeo Crennel looked absolutely distraught. I was like, I don't know. I was like, this is just the Texans' luck. They lost Will Fuller for the season. They released Kenny Stills. They traded away DeAndre Hopkins. All that happening. They just got David Johnson back from injured reserve. All that happening. They still had a chance to go down here and win the game. They didn't win the game. And I was like, I would just be so upset. I was like, against all odds, we had a chance at the 2-yard line. We blew it. Next game, Washington, the Steelers. Washington beats the undefeated Steelers 23-17. Washington, stand up, DMV, stand up, because I could not believe. Well, actually, I picked Washington to win, but I couldn't believe that they held them to 17 points. This Washington defense is real. Jack Del Rio, coaching out of his mind-led defensive end. I think Jack Del Rio's up for a head coaching job in 2021. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments, but I think Jack Del Rio is up for a coaching job in 2021 because how well he's coaching this Washington defensive front right now. Alex Smith is the big difference maker. If we go back to 2018, he was 6-4 before the injury. You look at him right now, he's 4-1. He's 10-5 at his time so far in Washington. He's been the huge difference maker. If you want to look at the last 3 games against the Steelers, they're only allowing 9 points. Well, guess what? Washington put up 23 points on them. So I was like, Washington, you're out here doing big things. They win the game 23-17, but I'm like, you're doing big things out here. And they hold the Steelers to 326 yards. The last 3 weeks, the Steelers averaged 361.3 yards. So I'm like, not a huge difference, but the Washington defense, no sacks recorded, but the defensive line was doing their thing, especially against the run game with Anthony McFarland and Benny Snell because of no James Conner. With another guy, I can't think of his name right now, but who was it? Benny Snell, Anthony McFarland, they both played, but James Conner, somebody else was out. But the fact that they completely shut down the run game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, of course, helped. And then I'm telling you, Montez Sweat, his name is no longer Montez Sweat. The E is silent. Like the G is silent in lasagna, the E is silent in Sweat because he is Montez Swat. I know we gave that name to J.J. Watt, but it's Montez Swat. I don't care what you say. The E is silent. Like what word? Bonjour. I don't know. I'm just saying words now. I don't know. But I know words are silent in certain. I know letters are silent in certain words, like lasagna. Lil Wayne said G's moving silence like lasagna. That's all I know. That's all I know. And Montez Sweat, put an asterisk, put the little 2 dots over the E. Whatever makes it silent, it's Montez Swat. Now that man's been doing a hell of a job on that defensive line. If we talk about Chase Young, oh my goodness, this man is a dog, an absolute dog. And like you can see why Joe Burrow and Chase Young went 1-2. You can see why they went 1-2. It doesn't even you don't even question it. You don't even question it. You see why they went 1-2. My big question now for the Pittsburgh Steelers: you're 11-1, Chiefs 11-1. How do you handle the rest of this season? Because now the fact that you're 11-1, Chiefs 11-1, the conference record, Pittsburgh's 8-0, KC's 9-1. That's why KC is still second because of that conference record. The Steelers' remaining schedule against the Bills, they're at the Bills, they're at the Bengals, they're home against the Colts, but then they're at the Browns. But then you look at the Chiefs' schedule, they're at the Dolphins, they're at the Saints, they're home against the Falcons, but then they're home against the Chargers. And remember, all divisional games are hard. I don't care if the team, like Anthony Lynn's team, just got blown out 45-0. I don't care. All divisional games are hard because every team knows every team in the division. So do the Steelers win the AFC North is my question. Do they win the AFC North? I don't know. Because it's not the AFC North. Do they win the AFC Conference? I don't know. And personally, I don't think so. I think now because they took this loss, they needed to take this loss somewhere else, not right here. But even though the loss helps them to take it here because it was in the NFC, not the AFC. So that kind of helps them taking it here opposed to taking it somewhere else against another AFC team. Which you hear they're finishing out their schedule against the AFC teams. Chiefs have 2 AFC, 2 NFC. So it kind of helped the Steelers to take that loss now opposed to later against, they'll both be... they have 1 loss in the conference with a tied record, so it's better they took it now. But this is going to be real tough. The Steelers and Chiefs, real tough. But I think the Chiefs are going to somehow, some way get out of there, and they're going to take the number 1 seed. That's what I think. Last but not least, Bills, 49ers. Oh, sorry. Let me tell you that. Oh, yeah. Well, no, I don't need to tell you that. Y'all figure it out. We'll talk about that another time. Bills top the 49ers, 34-24. Bills now 9-3. Josh Allen up for MVP in my mind. Like he has to be 32 of 40, 375 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Josh Allen's the first quarterback for the Bills who's thrown for 80% with 4 touchdowns, or 80% plus and 4 touchdowns. No quarterback in Bills history has ever done that. But the man that I think needs some credit this year, I think that my man Cole Beasley, yes, Cole Beasley needs some credit. A lot of y'all may be discrediting my man Cole Beasley. I know Stephon Diggs, he's over 1,000 yards now this season, but Cole Beaslly, 66 receptions, 797 yards, 4 touchdowns. He literally just needs pretty much 50 yards or 50 point whatever yards to get over 1,000 yards in the next 4 games. And I think he can do that. I definitely think he can do that. Cole Beasley has been like the quiet assassin on this Bills defense. Offense. On this Bills offense, he's been like the quiet assassin. Stephon Diggs, he's been getting his catches in his yards, but Cole Beasley is like, shh, I'm here. Like against Carolina, 11 catches, 109, 1 touchdown. Tonight against the 49ers, 9 receptions, 130 yards, 1 touchdown. I'm like, goodness gracious, this man is definitely doing big things out here. Josh Allen's doing big things too. Josh Allen didn't even have to run the ball tonight. Only had 6 carries, 11 yards. He was being a pocket passer tonight. And the thing that makes Josh Allen so dangerous, he's like Russell Wilson. He's like, I can run all over the place if I want to. But if I want to, I really want to be a pocket passer. That's what I want to do. But if you make me run, I will. That's what I love about Josh Allen. That's what I love about Russell Wilson. But man, like I told you, Bills 9-3 now. The Bills, they could potentially try to take over. I think the Bills have to play. Oh yeah, Steelers and Bills next week. 9-3 9-3 versus 11-1. The Bills could potentially try to take over that second spot from the Steelers if they get this win and the Steelers lose another game. And the Bills, let's say the Bills went out and they finished 13-3, and the Steelers finished 13-3. The Bills would jump them because the Bills would have the tiebreaker over them. So I'm excited to see what happens next week against the Bills and Steelers. This could be a big game to see if we're going to put more space between the two teams, or if we're going to close the gap a little bit and see if the Bills can potentially overtake the Pittsburgh Steelers. But everybody, that's all I got for you today. But something I definitely want to do, we have gone over 5,000 downloads. We've gone over 5,000 downloads, and I was kind of just like shocked. I was happy and not emotional. I'm pretty sure I know I'm gonna get to that day one day. I'm gonna get to it like a real emotional day. I'm gonna be like, I can't believe this. But we're over 5,000 downloads, and I was just shocked. And of course I had to tell y'all, but we're at 5,056 currently. And let me see if I can pull up the charts. The only thing I wish I could tell you guys is like the plays, like how many plays. It tells me how many downloads, like Spotify, Anchor.fm. They tell you all the plays that you have. I only see downloads with the service that I use. I don't see the plays, which is highly unfortunate, but it is what it is. But I'm so happy that we're over 5,000 downloads, less than 2 years. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't even. I didn't think this was gonna happen like that quickly. So I'm just like, I'm so blessed for each and every one of you. And like the things that shock me the most is when I'm seeing that every single episode, somebody out in Belgium is literally downloading the episode. Like I'm completely and utterly shocked by it. Like I can't believe it. I'm like, Belgium. I'm like, of course, me being in my ignorancy comes out when I'm saying they speak English over there. Like, I was like, somebody understands what I'm saying. It's like little things like that come to my mind. I'm trying. The last thing I want to do is tell you guys like the main spots or the main states that like I guess have like the biggest support. Of course, I appreciate everybody from every single state, most definitely. But I'm just telling you the biggest states so far. And I guess the biggest country. The biggest country would be looks like it's Ireland. Yeah, Ireland. 73 downloads all time. So like Ireland. We got downloads in Peru, Chile, Brazil, Mexico, Canada. But the biggest states would be California, Virginia. But the biggest one, of course, it gotta be the best state in the world. For Maryland, I love Maryland so much. It made me who I am today. The one state that I kind of wish I had some downloads in, it's kind of feels like a shot to me a little bit, is the fact that I don't have any downloads in the state of Louisiana. Like, I'm trying to figure out what is up with that. Like, I know I dog the Saints fans sometimes, but the fact that I don't have one download from the state of Louisiana, I know there's somebody in Louisiana who's heard this podcast, man. I'm kind of hurt by that a little bit. I'm like, Louisiana, come on now. It ain't no bad blood between us. It ain't no bad blood between us. But yeah, California, Oregon, Arizona. I say I want to move to Arizona one day. It looks so beautiful out there. I would love to move out there. But Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York, Rhode Island. It's almost all 50 states, but it's like just kind of like the Midwest. The upper Midwest is kind of like where I'm missing at. I'm surprised I have one in South Dakota. That kind of shocks me. I have 3 in Alaska. I don't think I have any in Hawaii, which is no shock there. I don't think I've ever mentioned Hawaii for anything, so that's not even a shock there. But I just want to let you all know. I don't really do that often. I think the last time I did this, I think we went over 1,000 downloads. That seemed like forever ago. But I just want to let y'all know I definitely appreciate you guys. I hope that you keep daring greatly. I hope that you keep working on your craft. I hope you keep loving, keep being ambitious. Make sure that you're being vulnerable. And I know it's hard to be vulnerable, but you gotta do it because that's how you progress. That's growth. Being vulnerable and being your most authentic self. One more time, let me tell you this quote that Brene Brown said in her book, Daring Greatly. Vulnerability, it's on vulnerability. She said, vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weaknesses. And then she also said, what's worth doing even if I fail. So remember, what's worth doing, like even if I fail to go in this arena, if I go in this arena right now, what am I willing to fail at to go into this arena? So that, and then also vulnerability sounds like truth. And when you being vulnerable with your, like, I know it's like for us men, they were like, oh, you know, being vulnerable, we don't need to show our emotions. We don't need to do this, do that. No, be vulnerable. It's okay to be vulnerable. Like everybody wants to like put on this facade. Like, what's the point of the facade? That's being fake. That's not being authentic. Why not be authentic? Like to live this life in a way that's pleasing other people. We're not here to please other people. We're here to be us. We're here to be ourselves. Be yourself. Be yourself. Love who you are. All right, that's what I want. If we could dare greatly at being vulnerable and loving ourselves, I would love that. If somebody just tells me, like, my goal for the week is to love myself. My goal for the week is to love others. My goal for the week is just to love. Like, be that. Feel that. Do that. Everybody's been sports outside the box. Y'all already know what I'm going to tell you. Keep that mama mentality. Dare greatly. Step into that arena. And people, I have no problem ever telling you that I love you. Have a good day, everybody. Wow.